Imagine the earth quaking beneath your feet. The ground roars with ferocity as if awakening from a deep slumber. In mere seconds, the world as you know it crumbles into chaos. The devastation of an earthquake is unfathomable. Entire buildings collapse into a cloud of dust in seconds. Cities are reduced to rubble, and the landscape is forever altered. This is not just a story of catastrophic destruction, nor is it merely a tally of lost lives. These are the incredible true stories of ordinary people overcoming extraordinary odds under the most impossible of circumstances. In the ancient heart of Turkey and Syria, history whispers through scenic landscapes. Two ancient lands that cradle the heart of civilization boast a rich tapestry woven from the threads of diverse geography, history, and culture. Turkey, straddling Europe and Asia, is a land of contrasts. From the bustling metropolis of Istanbul to the serene shores of the Aegean Sea and the rugged mountains of the East. Yet beneath this cradle of civilization lies a volatile secret. The lands of Turkey and Syria are perched atop a seismic powder keg, the result of tectonic plates in perpetual conflict. The East Anatolian Fault, where the Arabian and Eurasian plates grind against each other, and the North Anatolian Fault, one of the world's most active seismic zones, create a landscape perpetually on edge. On February 6, 2023, the Earth spoke with a roar as two colossal earthquakes, magnitudes 7.7 and 7.6, shattered the tranquility of the night, leaving behind a trail of devastation that forever changed the lives of thousands. This latent energy erupted with the catastrophic force of around 32 Hiroshima atomic bombs. The first powerful quake struck in the early hours of the morning while most people were at home in bed sleeping. The epicenter was near the Turkish city of Gaziantep, which is around 150 miles north of the Syrian border. The second earthquake, just hours later at 1:30 p.m. local time, was further north in central Turkey and measured 7.5 magnitude. This seismic event was not just a natural disaster, but a tragic chapter in the long, storied history of a region already marked by resilience and survival. As the sun rose, casting a light on the unimaginable destruction, the scale of the tragedy became clear. Entire communities lay in ruins, homes reduced to rubble, and countless lives were thrown into disarray. 55,000 people were killed that day. Life, as it was known in cities like Kahramanmaraş and Hatay, changed in the blink of an eye. Buildings that stood for decades crumbled, streets split open, and the human spirit was put to its toughest test. Gulhan is a bright and energetic young girl who shares a home with her devoted mother Özlem. They lived in the heart of a close-knit community, where the bonds of family and friendship are woven as tightly as the threads of an Ottoman rug. Gulhan is 17 years old in her final year of high school. She dreams of going to college and becoming a kindergarten teacher. Özlem works at the supermarket and is supporting her family as a single mother. They just rented their home in Osmaniye a few months ago, not knowing the danger to come. On the fateful morning of February 6, 2023, their lives were irrevocably changed when the earth beneath them roared to life. Before Gulhan could make sense of what was happening, the walls around her began to crumble. She sprinted for the doorway, fueled by instinct and adrenaline, as the shaking threw her violently to the floor. She tried to reach the door from her bedroom, but a wardrobe smashed down upon her ankle, crushing her bones in an instant. She screamed in agony as the wardrobe trapped her in place. The quaking continued unrelentingly. Darkness and dust filled the air and it became hard to breathe. Gulhan was trapped deep in the building, in total darkness and isolation. Özlem became trapped closer to the exit of the apartment. There was a door behind her when the building came down. All she could do was think of the safety of Gulhan. As a parent, you don't care for yourself, but only for your children. She called out to her baby but couldn't hear anything in return. Özlem didn't know if her precious Gulhan was alive or dead. Gulhan could not see a thing, but she could hear her mother's voice in the rubble. "Kızım, Kızım, my girl, where are you?" She was shouting back, but her mother couldn't hear her faint cries. She was trapped too deep inside the building. Gulhan found a stone and hit a door to make some noise. This was all she could do to signal to her mother that she was alive and in grave danger. Uzlam found a rock and broke through the door, bringing light into her would-be tomb. She cried out to the neighbors for help, but they were all too panicked to lend a hand. In the wake of a severe earthquake, the danger is seldom over. Aftershocks, those relentless tremors that follow a major earthquake, become a constant, terrifying presence. These seismic echoes can be nearly as devastating as the main earthquake, toppling already weakened structures and fraying the nerves of survivors. Uzlam would have to rely on herself for salvation. Fortunately for Uzlam, her biggest fear became her greatest opportunity. An aftershock sent waves of energy and pounded the already weakened structure. Terrified that she would become further trapped, she held her hands above her head as the dust and debris shifted. When it had passed, Uzlam saw the rubble had fallen in such a way that she could escape. Desperate to reach her daughter, she ignored the pain from broken ribs and battled with fierce courage. Making her way above ground, she finally heard the only thing a mother wants to hear. She heard Gulhan's voice. She knew her daughter was alive. Hope turned to despair as Gulhan was badly hurt. Time was of the essence. Every second felt like an eternity. She couldn't see her, but she could hear her. She shouted for help, but everyone was in shock. The building was new, their belongings, their memories, all buried. And here she was, fighting to save her child's life. Gulhan's voice could be heard through a tiny hole in what was left of the building. All Uzlam could do was dig. At first, no one could reach her as the aftershocks were continuing. People were in shock, and only her mother tried to help. Even with her broken ribs, she tried to pull Gulhan out of a hole that even a cat couldn't pass through. Eventually, more relatives and rescuers came to help. There was no light, only the light from her phone. The rescuers were shining a flashlight in to make her more comfortable because the dark made her feel afraid. It felt like years under there. She was thinking about her mother because she has cancer, and she worried about her health. Gulhan took charge. Despite the pain, she instructed the rescue effort and gave clear directions. She told them where to dig and instructed them to bring in a saw. They were able to cut the wardrobe and free her leg from it. The pain was unbearable, and Gulhan went in and out of consciousness with every stroke of the saw. Eventually, the rescuers were able to free her and reunite mother and daughter after many hours of uncertainty and turmoil. While the earth itself does not discriminate, the scale of devastation often tells a different story. This is a story of neglect and oversight. The threat of earthquakes is well known in this region, yet the buildings that crumbled under the quake's fury were not built to code. Experts had long warned of the seismic dangers lurking beneath Turkey's landscape. The fault lines had warned the people, but were not given attention. The tremors of February 6 did not just shake the earth. They shook the conscience of a nation. Decades of economic booms, driven by a burgeoning construction industry, had propelled Turkey forward, yet this progress was built on shaky foundations. Laws were manipulated, safety protocols sidelined, all in pursuit of profit. It was a gamble that placed millions of lives in jeopardy. Things have to change. Earthquakes don't kill people. Collapsing buildings do. It's not merely a natural disaster, but a human-made catastrophe. A preventable catastrophe caused by neglect and greed. Although Turkey's construction codes are aligned with modern earthquake engineering standards, enforcement was lax or non-existent. This lack of enforcement has led to the collapse of thousands of buildings that should never have been approved in the first place. The road to recovery is twofold. There is the physical rebuilding of cities, but there is also the need for a seismic shift in policy and perspective. The people demand assurances that the lives lost will not be in vain, and accountability that those who were negligent will be held responsible. For the survivors, the path to recovery is ongoing. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to find out what happens next when ordinary people are pushed to their limits of life and death in the face of the unthinkable.